It's Pride Month, a time of showing acceptance and love, a time for being true to ourselves and embracing what makes us who we are. It's a time where we don't let hate get us down and don't feel like we have to hide what makes us happy. Or that's the hope. The truth is, even with how progressive the world has gotten, the US in particular, because that's where I live, the only place I have ever lived, there is still not complete acceptance. And there may never be, which sucks, but we can at least strive for more acceptance and teach others that intolerance is never okay. But what do we do in the meantime? Especially when we want to be out, when we want to be proud, but are unable to. Well, for a lot of people, we turn to the internet. And thank God for the internet. Am I right? You can be who you are on the internet. You can express yourself without worrying about rampant bullying or disownment. Yes, there are assholes online, and they can be scary. Doxing does happen, and online bullying can bleed into real-world bullying. It's awful. But it's still safer than being out to bigots that are physically in front of you. Today, I want to talk a little about a problem that I think gets ignored or maybe simply not talked about enough. The confliction that is being out to yourself and to a select group while still being closeted. First of all, I want to say that I am not a teenager, not by any means, and I cannot talk about the teenage experience. But I do know that there are a lot of teenagers who deal with this. And this video is for them too, just like it's for any adult that's having to deal with this issue. It may be a different situation, but I still understand, to some degree at least, how terrible it is. I don't have to worry about being kicked out of my home or having loved ones shun me, but I am aware that those things do happen, and my heart goes out to anyone that has to deal with those things or is afraid of those things. So, my personal story, being in my mid-30s, an adult living with my wonderful partner, with a YouTube channel where I am openly out as non-binary, is that I am out without being out at all. Confused? Yeah, so am I. I live in the South. I've lived here all my life, and while I have never felt particularly Southern, I know the area. That is to say, I know the bigotry. It's not everywhere. I definitely am not going to say that people in the South are inherently prejudicial, because that would be a huge insult to all of the open-minded and intelligent people that live in the southern US. But bigotry is common here. And while I can't say that it isn't common in other parts of the country, it may well be, I can say that the South has one big thing going for it, or against it, I suppose, when it comes to bigotry. We're the damn Bible Belt. And while not all Christians are bigots, again, that's a gross generalization, it tends to be very easy for bigots to use the Bible and Christianity as tools to hate people and spread their hatred. I grew up in the 90s, and that wasn't a very gay-friendly time. But in the South, besides homosexuality being seen as icky, it was also a sin. You would go to hell, you would burn in hellfire forever, and so on. But before you think the people spouting these lines were concerned for you, they weren't. They said them as offenses. You should know better than to be gay. You shouldn't openly defy God that way. You are the problem, and you deserve to be in pain because of it. That was the 90s, and it is today. It may be less common, but it still happens today. And the worst part is that it's not just the zealots that say it. A lot of people here were taught that being gay was wrong, that God hates it, that it's unnatural and no gay person deserves respect or dignity. That goes for queer or bi or trans, obviously, as well. And these people keep on believing that hatred and passing it on to their own children. Sometimes, even when they don't really believe it, out of fear of stepping away from the crowd and being shunned, losing the community they've always belonged to. And the biggest problem with living in the South is that, in all my experience at least, Christianity rules. Christian churches are all over the place, and almost everyone you meet will identify as Christian, even if they never go to church. And like I said, not all Christians are bigots. But when so many people are Christian, and Christians are more likely to be hateful, there ends up being a lot more hate. And that's what I really want to talk about. Hate. I mention Christianity because it informs, to some extent, why there is so much bigotry. And the high amount of conservatism does the same. Southern states are red states after all. But the why, in the end, doesn't matter when the hatred is what keeps you from being who you are. And the hatred is here, for sure. Even if the hatred is under the surface, not easily seen, it's there. So, back to me. I am non-binary. I don't feel solely masculine or solely feminine, and I really, really wish I could swap bodies like in Ranma 1/2. I love the color pink, I love having long hair, and I am of dubious sexual orientation, which I do purposefully because, well, I like being mysterious. And as Dean Pelton says, if coming out is a magic show and gayness is a rabbit out of the hat, I'm one of those never-ending handkerchiefs. I am complex, and who or what I like doesn't really matter to anyone except to anyone I'm with. Except that I am queer, and that label is about as specific as it's gonna get. After all, I am still figuring some things out on my own. I'm not incredibly certain what I am. Which is totally cool. I don't think people have to have labels if they don't want them, and since I'm still kind of figuring stuff out about myself, I don't really know what to use except queer, because it works and it fits, just like non-binary. The trouble is, to every person I meet, I'm just a straight male. Every person in real life, that is. Online, I am who I am. Otherwise, how could I even make this video? For a long time, I told myself that I wasn't hiding anything about myself from my coworkers or the random person I chatted with at the store or an Uber driver. I simply wasn't disclosing my personal details, because I don't like doing that anyways. And that's true. I am not going out of my way to lie. But I am still not being open. Pride is about liking who you are, and sometimes when you like something, you want to tell people about it. You want to share it with others. And I never, never want to tell my coworkers that I think dresses are pretty. Or that Char would make a great bottom with Amuro. I mean, Char would pretend he didn't like Amuro being in charge, but he'd love it. Deep down, he would. Gundam fantasies aside, when I realized that I didn't know 100% how I would respond if someone at work asked me point blank about my gender or sexuality, I knew that I wasn't happy with my situation. I would hate lying about who I am, but I would understand why I did it. Because acceptance, despite the TV shows and movies and widespread declaration of "we support," always seems in short supply here in the South. At least where I live. It'd be one thing if a single person at work said, "I don't get it, he's just a weirdo," in response to me being openly out. I could deal with that. But what I know would happen, I am absolutely positive about it, is that a few people would be supportive, but the majority of them would either be indifferent or confused and without wanting to learn at all, or outright hostile, even if it was only behind my back. I know this because I've worked with these people for years. I've heard what they've said in the break room. I've seen how they've responded to news stories and events. My coworkers are not my friends. I get along with some of them. I think some of them are great people. Some maybe could be friends. But I don't know that I can fully trust any of them to accept me for who I am. And that's not because of any trust issues I may have. It is solely because of how they have behaved. I have known of maybe half a dozen openly gay employees where I work in the past 5 years. There have probably been more than that, but I work at a big place. Hundreds of people have worked there in that time. It's not been a very diverse place when it comes to the LGBTQ+, which makes sense because where I live isn't known for being very diverse when it comes to queer people, and that sucks. It's a lonely feeling. You don't want to be ashamed of who you are, and you don't think you are, but you can't bring yourself to be totally honest with every person you meet. You feel like you are ashamed. That's why acceptance matters. That's why Pride Month matters. I have found a great way to be myself. The internet. These YouTube videos I make, I put my thoughts, my feelings, my very essence into them. I am completely honest, and by being honest, I can be myself. And yeah, I don't want my coworkers to find out about my channel. I don't want to deal with gossip, I don't want to deal with stress and defending myself, and I really don't want to deal with questions. My god, any questions about my sex life from straight cis people can go right to hell. But even if they did find out about this channel and how I identify here and in my real life, versus the work persona I have, which I remove as soon as I'm out of that place, it's going to be okay, because the haters don't matter. They make life more complicated and more stressful, but in the end, they cannot deprive us of our own happiness. Or so I'd like to say, but life unfortunately isn't that easy, and we all know it. But we can hope. Don't hate yourself if you're not out. It is okay to protect yourself, and it is okay to need time. And while you get ready, waiting for the day when you can be happy with who you are and not live in fear, you can find people like you online. There are communities on Reddit, there are communities on Twitter. Instagram and Discord are things that I don't know anything about because I'm old. But they're there, and maybe one day I'll get dragged into those worlds too. The point is, it's okay. We all want to be RuPaul standing on that stage without fear. We want to be Laverne Cox, bulletproof and taking no one's shit. We want to be John Waters, sarcastic and always smirking. But it took time for them to get where they are. And pain. It wasn't easy for any of them, and it might never be easy for us, who dare to be different. And it's okay to be afraid of pain. It's okay to wait. Sometimes you need to. As long as you're not denying who you are to yourself, you're doing okay. The first and most important thing is to be honest with yourself. Everyone else can come second. Now, here's to a world where this isn't ever even a concern. Here's to a world we can keep crafting bit by bit, day after day. Thank you for watching, and remember, you are valid, you deserve to be loved, and there is nothing wrong with you. I know there are people out there who say there is, but honestly, they have nothing to stand on. If you really ask the question, why? Why is it wrong to be gay? Why is it wrong to be trans? Why is it wrong to be anything that's part of the LGBTQ+? There's no real answer. People throw out what they think are answers, and which may be answers to them. God says it's bad, or, oh, it's corrupting children. These don't hold water. They don't make any real sense. Not in any objective way. They are purely subjective, and usually they're just a way for a person to get their own selfish desire. You know, a lot of religious groups want power. They want to be able to tell their parishioners or whoever is part of the group what to do, what's right, what's wrong. And saying gay people are bad, queer people are bad, that's just an easy way for them to get people to give them that power. But there's no truth to it. There's no logic to it at all. And I only say this because I know there are people out there who, unfortunately, and it's a human thing, we're all just people, but they unfortunately ask themselves, is there something wrong with me? Because they hear about so many people saying there's something wrong with them. Like I said, it's a human thing. It's understandable that if everyone around you, or what feels like everyone around you, is saying you're bad, you're wrong, it's human to start thinking that's the truth. That's why Pride, one of the many reasons why Pride Month is so important, because it helps teach people that the hatred isn't the norm, that it doesn't make sense, and it should not be here. Life is hard, life is unfair, and humans can be cruel, they can be downright evil, but they can also be wonderful. People sometimes will embrace one another, protect one another, teach and help one another. People aren't all bad. And even if it feels like most of the people you meet are terrible, I guarantee there are people out there who are the complete opposite, who will do whatever they can for you, who will go out of their way to try to make sure you're all right, to try to help you feel better about yourself and about life. I make these videos because I want people to feel better after watching them, or while watching them, whatever. The point is, I want to do what I can. Not everyone can make videos. I'm not going to say that it's the hardest thing in the world, but I'm also not going to say it's the easiest. Everybody has different talents, and I realized that I didn't mind putting my words out there. I don't mind recording myself and showing it to the internet. Yes, there are hateful comments, but they never bother me because I know they don't matter. For other people, those comments would hurt a lot. That's why I always try to delete them when I see them on my videos. I mean, I had to delete one the other day where a person just said flat out, "You're not non-binary. You were born a man and you are a man." I wouldn't blame someone for getting upset at that. I don't, because this person's just a moron. They're just a bigot trying to do something to hurt another person to make themselves feel better. I don't care about that. But I do know other people would be very hurt by it, and that's okay. But because I don't care about the comments, the negative comments at least, the positive ones definitely make me feel very good. And thank you everyone who has ever left a positive comment in the past or in the future. But because I don't care about the negative comments, I can make these videos. Every person can find whatever they can do to help other people, to help people they care about or who are in similar situations as they are, or who are just people who might need help. Even if it's just upvoting a comment or something. You know, you're browsing Reddit and maybe you see someone post a picture of themselves and you don't know what to say, but you want to show that you support what they're doing, that you like that they're comfortable enough to show themselves or are willing to show themselves, just give it an upvote. I mean, it's a little thing, but you're still doing something, you know? And maybe if all of us do the little things we can do, it'll have a big effect. I mean, I know little things matter a lot to me. Every thumbs up on a video makes me feel good. Every positive comment, even if it's just, like an emoji? Or just, good video. I love that. It's so great. It not just makes me feel good about what I've done, but it makes me happy to know that someone else had a little bit of happiness thanks to what I did. You know, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, although it does feel good in that way, but I'm happy someone else is happy. You know, that's what I'm trying to put out into the world. Because that's what I want from it. I want positivity and happiness. Okay, everyone, I've rambled long enough. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, you are amazing. Truly. People say that they like hearing me talk, and this is really testing it because I've talked for a long time. Anyways, I'm not going to shill anything. I'm not going to tell you to do whatever with liking it. No. This video, the only thing that matters is about helping people understand that it's okay to have a tough time. And it's okay to do what you have to do to get by. We can have hope for the future while still living a sort of scared life now. It's okay. It's horrible, but there's a lot to be scared of still. But let's try to hold on to the hope, even if we might never see it, just hoping that other people after us will have a better time, an easier time, a more accepting world. We can help push things in that direction with our actions, with our behavior. Because maybe, just maybe, one day, we'll all be accepted and everything will be good. And life will still be hard, life will still be unfair. But at least then we don't have to worry about being hated just for being who we are and liking who we like or not liking who people think we're supposed to like and, you know, doing what we want to with our bodies that makes us happy. Hopefully one day, none of that's a concern. And we can just deal with the unfairness and harsh realities of life and focus on them and not worry about the personal stuff that isn't anyone else's business. You know, there are bigger things to worry about than, you know, complaining about a person's gender identity or sexuality. Let's just hope all the bigots in the world realize that at some point. Again, thank you for watching. And again, remember, you are valid. And don't ever forget it.